As a cleaning business owner, it's possible that at times you reach burnout. No, it's never happened to you, I'm sure, but it's
Mhm.
possible. And if it does, what do you do? Today, we've got a very special guest with us, and it's Dr. Susan Landers. And as a neonatologist, her day to day job really does deal with life and death situations. And as house cleaners, ours are not that serious. But what happens if you reach burnout, and how do you deal with it? So please help me welcome Dr. Susan Landers.
Oh, thanks, Angela, for the invitation. I love to talk to other working mothers about burnout because there are really a few different kinds of burnout. I had medical burnout at the very end of my career because of too much work, too many hours, too many nights in the hospital, a lot of difficult, ethically challenging cases. And I was older and I got tired more easily. And so my negativity seemed appropriate. And then everything kind of snowballed. And I found myself dreading to go to work. And when I realized I was burned out, I remember telling my husband, I just don't really care that much about my patients anymore. And he said, "Oh my God, that's not like you." And I did some very specific things to recover.
Before you tell us about the recovering, it's really interesting because you spent your entire career saving other people's lives. And so I can only imagine how much emotional energy that took on a day-to-day basis. That's not just doing a little job every day or sitting behind a desk. That's really going in the trenches and making a difference every single day. I can see how you could get burned out on a job like that.
Right. But I wanted to tell your listeners about maternal burnout that I had when I was 40 years old. We had changed jobs, we had moved to a new city. My husband had the perfect job, and my job was just okay. I had three little kids. I worked in the hospital. There were very challenging cases, but for the most part, it wasn't that difficult. And when there were ethically challenging cases, we would meet as a group and talk about them. But I didn't take care of myself during that time. I was trying to do everything for everybody. Three kids in school, where two were in school, one was with a nanny. New husband, no friends, left them behind in my other town. New neighborhood, not having any social support, new church. And what I discovered during that period of my motherhood and working motherhood was that I needed to learn how to take care of myself. All I was doing was running around helping with the nanny and the schools and the teachers and the coaches and everything that you do besides your work. I sat down with a good psychotherapist and I listed my priorities. I examined my priorities. And you know what? He and I decided to put me on my list of priorities. And so I was on my list and I said, okay, I'm important. And I started learning to exercise 2 days a week. I joined a gym where they had some, daycare for the kids and children's programs. My husband started exercising. I continued a hobby that I really love, which was needlework, counted cross stitch. I developed new friendships and I took a personal day, at least 1 day a week, personal day, to go out with a friend, have lunch or coffee, talk, laugh. It was so much fun just to have a new friend and to compare notes. And she was a new mom too, and she was new to the city. And so we could kind of gripe together. And during that process, I learned that I didn't really hate my job that much. What I hated was doing everything for everybody. Once I started making choices, once I listed my priorities, once I made myself crucial to my success and happiness, everything else got better. I cannot tell you, it was like an epiphany. I was fortunate to learn in my 40s that I couldn't be a mom of three. I couldn't have a great job, sometimes busy, sometimes less so, unless I took care of myself. So, what happened to me later in my medical career was I guess I just sort of dropped myself off of my radar. And I didn't talk with friends and I didn't meditate and I wasn't very good about exercising.
What was different for you that made you stop taking care of yourself and kind of letting things slide back to the way that they used to be?
I was worried about one of my daughters who was developing an anxiety disorder and becoming in trouble at college with smoking marijuana. And I think I had put all of my energy into worrying about her. You could do the same thing, I guess, if you were worried about a spouse or if you're worried about your business or anything that just kind of sapped your strength. You would easily be able to stop remembering that you have to take care of yourself.
Would it
Important
be fair
lesson.
to say that you had taken care of yourself as a priority until a higher priority, which was your daughter in trouble, came along? And then you had to make a
Exactly.
decision, maybe even at an unconscious level. This requires more of my attention right now. And therefore, you went back to we call it in the cleaning industry, we call it mom syndrome, where everybody's
Yeah,
your mom to everyone else except yourself.
right,
And you
right.
you then gave up your self-care in helps of taking care of her.
Exactly. You nailed it. There was another instance where my other daughter, several years before, had developed an eating disorder. She also has some anxieties, but I recognized her eating disorder pretty early and got her the help she needed. And at that time, the difference was I cut my hours back. I cut my hours back to 75%. I took a deep breath. It gave me time to help her get the help she needed. And I felt like I was participating in her care. And I also had my job, which I loved, and I was busy. And that was probably when I was in my 50s. And so when I was in my 60s, when my second daughter got in trouble, maybe I was just more tired. Maybe my husband and I weren't on the same page. Maybe the stress at work was more. That was probably a factor. Maybe I'd had some difficult cases and we had lost a couple of babies that broke everybody's heart. But for whatever reason, I forgot to focus on me and I put all my focus on my daughter who needed help. So it's really easy to get burned out in various stages of our careers, whether you're midlife or later or even near the end of the career, when we forget to use our social support, when we forget to exercise and eat properly, if we forget how to be friends, if we forget how to communicate with our husband, those things are so crucial for maintaining mental health and maintaining our ability to balance all this stuff that we balance. Working women do so much for other people. They take care of their family and their husband and their partner and their business. And so, what they forget, and I'm imploring you to remember this, is how to take care of themselves. Find what works for you, recognize that it makes you feel better, that it lifts your mood. Exercise was a big one for me. Yours might be a hobby or meditation or yoga or something like that, or talking with a friend. But whatever it is, you have to find it and you have to say, I'm important. My health is important. I've got to do this or I won't do my job very well. I think it's really that simple, but of course it's not simple. It's very complicated, but we cannot forget about ourselves.
That is fascinating. And I'm so glad you shared your personal story with us because I know that you've connected with a lot of moms and a lot of workers who are in the same phase. And oftentimes people don't want to admit it. And I love the fact that you were vulnerable enough to share that with us and then to give us
Right.
all of the suggestions that you just did. I'm going to leave links in the show notes to all of those suggestions so that there will just be a checklist. And I know that you have a checklist as well. Would you tell us, please, where our listeners can go to find you?
Oh, yeah. My website is susanlandersmd.com. And if you type that in /burnout, Burnout in caps, you will find a free checklist. It's quick and simple, 19 items to help you gauge where you are along the continuum of okay, really stressed, or burnt out. I also have a solutions packet on my website and the resources page. So I've got lots of good things there for people who are interested.
Well, thank you so much. This was so educational, and I've really enjoyed our time together.
Oh, thank you. I have too. Thanks for inviting me. And I hope your listeners got something out of my stories.
Oh, I know they did. Thank you so much. And until we meet again, leave the world a cleaner place than when you found it.